So Chris Christie has been running for president in the Republican primary, but we have a major news regarding his campaign tonight, and he's suspending his campaign. So here's what he had to say tonight.
I've always said that there came a point in time in this race where I couldn't see a path to accomplishing that goal, that I would get out. And it's clear to me tonight that there isn't a path for me to win the nomination, which is why I'm suspending my campaign tonight for President of the United States.
So yeah, as you just saw, Christie suspended his campaign, and it's kind of a big deal because in New Hampshire, it's one of the first states that has primaries. New Hampshire is in New Hampshire. Nikki Haley, who's Christie's been like running as this old school moderate Republican that's like kind of anti-Trump. Well, not kind of. He's very anti-Trump throughout this campaign. So some of these like moderate voters in the GOP, they supported Christie, and then so if Haley's like trailing Trump by a few points, I believe, in New Hampshire. So if Christie drops out, his supporters will obviously go to Haley rather than on Trump because Haley's the second most anti-Trump candidate in the GOP primary right now, and Christie's dropping out, so their supporters are obviously gonna go support her. So I think there is some chance that Haley can win in New Hampshire, but at the end of the day, I think Trump is gonna be the nominee. I don't think anyone can deny that. Trump is falling like 50 points ahead of everyone, even though he has like many criminal charges against him, and he's an insurrectionist, white supremacist. The list goes on and on, but that's how lunatic the GOP has gotten. And apparently Christie agrees with the notion that Trump is gonna be the nominee and Haley has no shot in winning. So Christie apparently he forgot to turn off his mic ahead of this announcement about his dropout, and here's Christie in hot mic.
People don't want to hear it, Wayne. They don't want to hear it. We know we're right, but they don't want to hear it.
Right.
And there's we couldn't have been any clearer.
Right.
We couldn't have been any more direct or worked any harder. So
Don't forget she spent $68 million.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
we spent like
when you give land to
10.
China and places like that.
Yeah, that's what you get.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, she spent $68 million so far, just on TV. Spent $68 million so far, $59 million by DeSantis, and we spent 12. I mean, who's punching above their weight and who's getting a return on their investment? And she's going to get smoked.
And by she, he's talking about Haley. So Haley's gonna get smoked by Trump. So there it is.
And you and I both know it. She's not up to this.
She hasn't even been challenged.
She's still 20 points behind Trump in New Hampshire, right?
Yeah.
And,
Oh, yeah.
And he's still gonna carry Iowa, right?
Yes. Oh, I talked to DeSantis called me, petrified that I would.
He's probably getting out after Iowa.
Well,
And like
people don't want to hear it.
The last part about DeSantis was like kind of unclear if like DeSantis called him petrified or he's thinking that DeSantis is petrified, but either way this is hilarious. But to be honest, like this isn't that surprising that DeSantis and DeSantis is like talking shit about Haley. This has happened before throughout the campaign. Nikki Haley made this like ridiculous remark when she was asked about the Civil War. She didn't mention slavery, and she said something like it was like about individual rights or something. And the reason she did that was, of course, she was just pandering and grifting to her far right wing audience. And Christie rightfully called out Haley for this cowardness of not mentioning slavery when asked about Civil War. And he said something like, I know Nikki is an intelligent woman. Nikki knows about these things, and she's still saying these things because she knows that if she tells the truth, it's gonna anger some of her base, and she's being dishonest. And Haley responded like, Christie's just obsessed with Trump or something. And Christie obviously responded. He said that it's not that he's obsessed with Trump. He has to talk about him because Trump is the like running 50 points ahead of everyone else, as I just said. So yeah, and like in terms of this feud between Haley and Christie, obviously Christie is the one that's being correct here. Like obviously, Nikki Haley is like hesitant to call out Trump for some reason, but Christie had the guts to do those things. So credit where it's due. I don't support him in terms of policies. Like I mentioned earlier that Christie is one of the moderates in Republican Party, and he is in terms of like some of the social issues like abortion or LGBT rights. He's not as extreme as like people like Trump, Ramaswamy or DeSantis, so he's moderate in that sense, and he doesn't support insurrection. So I'm sure he's gonna concede when he loses, and Nikki Haley is gonna do that too. But the other three, DeSantis, Trump, and Ramaswamy, like those extreme Republicans, they probably won't even concede when they lose the election if they are the one of them is the nominee. So that's how lunacy within the GOP has gotten. If you like accepting the election result is considered a moderate. So in terms of that, Haley and DeSantis are both moderate, but in terms of like some issues like foreign policies, Christie said something like he's gonna send U.S. troops to Gaza, where Israel is currently doing the genocide, and Biden administration is obviously supporting the genocide against the people of Gaza by the Netanyahu government. So in terms of that, obviously Biden is very, very bad, and that's one of the reasons he's polling very bad with especially young voters and Arab Americans. But Christie is worse, and he's just like all of the other politicians, or even worse, because Biden's not deploying U.S. military in Gaza, but Christie said he's gonna do that. So he's very extreme in terms of those like foreign policies, and Nikki Haley is even more pro-war. So those two moderate in relative to like these lunatic conspiracy theorists like Trump, Ramaswamy or DeSantis, but still very extreme. I won't support any of them. So like it doesn't really matter to me that like DeSantis dropped out. I mean Christie dropped out today, and Trump's gonna be the nominee. But I would like to say one thing, and it's that like the media is gonna cover this like for hours tomorrow. That's gonna be guaranteed. Like they've been covering the GOP primary. Like it's very important, even though it's very likely that it's gonna be Trump. He's running ahead of everyone else like 50 points, as I've been saying. But Haley's gonna gain some points. That's for sure. But the media needs to cover Democratic side more too. Biden's polling very bad, and the main reason he's polling very bad, especially with young voters and Arab Americans, is because of his support of the Netanyahu government, which is conducting a genocide against the people of Gaza. So ceasefire in terms of Israel-Palestine conflict is a common sense position within American people. The vast majority of Democrats, Independents, and Republicans support ceasefire. So it's clear that if he wants to win the election again, he has to stop this genocide in Gaza. But he's not gonna do that. Unfortunately, he's very pro-Israel. So we have to defeat Biden and elect Marianne Williamson, who is the only candidate or serious candidate in Democratic primary who supports ceasefire. So we have to do everything we can to make her the candidate. But unfortunately, like I said on the Republican side, Trump's gonna be the nominee. That's very likely. So it would be hypocritical to say that like Biden's not gonna be the nominee, because he is also ahead like 50 points ahead of everyone else, like Marianne Williamson and Dean Phillips. So I know that Marianne has very low chance of winning, but that doesn't mean that we should just give up, right? She's the only sane candidate in the 2024 field, in my opinion, because she's the only one that supports ending the genocide against the people of Gaza. If we just give up because we are like 50 points behind or something, it's worth trying and losing than not trying, just saying because we are behind. So we have to try very, very hard to elect make Marianne the nominee for the Democratic Party, but it's gonna be a very hard race, that's for sure. So even Trump is beating Biden in most of the polls that has been conducted recently, and Nikki Haley is beating Biden by even more margin, like 17 points or something. So either way, Biden's gonna be in big trouble. He's gonna have a tough time defeating Donald Trump, so or Nikki Haley. But I'm sure that Trump's gonna win because Haley's like trailing Trump by 50 points or so. So yeah, but if it's if it's between Trump or Haley, like more easy to beat for Biden, right? Because he has many criminal charges against him. He's an insurrectionist, and many of the Americans are just fed up with Trump. And Haley doesn't have like those hate directed towards her, so Haley will be a harder candidate. But as I've been saying, Trump's gonna be nominee anyways. So Christie dropped out, and Haley has a little bit more chance of being the GOP nominee, although it's still very low. But either way, Biden needs to stop this genocide in Gaza if he wants to win, but I know he's not gonna do that, so we need to try very, very hard until the end of the primaries to elect Marianne Williamson. That's the only way the US is gonna be a better place, and that's the only way to end genocide in Gaza that's happening right now. So Christie dropped out. There you have it. That's all for now. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.